So we are reconnecting with rockers and a live performance at WDHA with Soraia. Hey guys, I'm so happy to see you all. Everybody looks so beautiful. Zou Zou and Brianna looks great. And Nick, you look very, very handsome. I'm loving the beard. Grown a little bit since last time I saw you guys.
Yeah, about 3 feet.
About 3 feet. I love it. That's what you should be doing in Isolation Nation. Now, all right, let's start by introducing you guys to our WDHA listeners. Again, I got the call on how popular you were on the Scotty B show. And everybody's like, Terrie, you got to check out Zou Zou and the band. You're going to love them. She's a strong, powerful, amazing woman right up your alley. So started listening to this stuff. Now, I first knew of you when little Steven was on my show and brought his own CDs and said, these guys are on my label, my Wicked Cool label. And I was very impressed because not everybody, not every new band gets the, stamp of approval from somebody like little Steven Van Zandt. So first of all, how do you catch the eye and the ear of Steven Van Zandt?
That's a cool story, actually. We were working with a producer who worked with John Bon Jovi and all of Bon Jovi. And so I used to go to the shows a lot. He'd go to the shows. He'd bring our music to the shows. And there was a show at Madison Square Garden. I wasn't there. And he had brought a disc of a song we had just written on there called Runaround. And he gave it to little Steven. He's like, this is right up your alley. And Steve was just like, well, listen, if I don't call you back, don't take it personally. It's just not my thing. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not my thing. And literally the next day, he called our producer back, who actually dialed the phone, which Steven still doesn't know, but he'll know now, dialed the phone and let me listen. And I was just like, at first I didn't know who it was. And then I was like, Silvio. And I knew it was Silvio, which is also, is more, at that time, more modern of what I knew of him. And,
of course.
I mean, he's obviously in Bruce Springsteen too, and an amazing producer. He's produced us too. But he heard the song and he asked me to come down to his studio / record label / teachrock.org / underground garage. So I did, and I was like, I didn't really know why I was there. I knew he liked the song, and we ended up talking for like 3 hours about touring and how European audiences were different from American audiences. And he just was like, it was a really great conversation. Time flew by, and like the relevance of South by Southwest, all these things. And it ended with him just being like, can you write more songs like that? If you do, I'd love to sign you. So that's what we did. We just kept writing, and, eventually we signed with this label.
And I think the thing about Steven is he's such a pure musical soul. You've got people that are musical souls, Keith Richards, Joan Jett, people that it just emanates from their pores. There's nothing else that they could have done in life. This is what they do. And you mentioned him being a producer. He is a brilliant producer. And when you say like, oh, if you remember the band Lone Justice, that was a Steven production. Like, he gets different sounds for all of these bands. I loved, I think I've mentioned this to you in the past. The Archangels record was one of my favorite records ever with Charlie Sexton and Doyle Bramall. And for him, the sound he got out of those guys was just incredible. So he's got that amazing ear. So it's not just like, Silvio from The Sopranos or even a member of the E Street Band. Steven views things very differently. He's that pure musical soul. He's the guy, that's trying to get everybody who he thinks should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He lives and breathes music. It's all about what he does. So that to me is a big freaking deal for a new band. I think it's a huge deal. It's just not casual.
No, and I spent probably the first few times he produced us, I was just going like, why are we here? I just think in my head, I was still like, why are we here?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand, and then I remember even when I'd sing something, he goes, good. And I'd be like, can I sing that again? He'd be like, why? And I'd be like, because I can do better than that. Like, I wanted to prove something to him, but he had already known and didn't need me to prove it. He already knew what he wanted. And sometimes he'd just say, just do it like this, do it like this. But I had a conversation with Darlene Love after we were invited to her listening party at his, and And we met like Elvis Costello had like a neon green backpack on. It was like the greatest night. He's eating a little sandwich and everything. The whole calling card of how Steven got us there. He's like, listen, I'm going to have little sandwiches. Not that I'm going to have David Chase and Darlene Love and like all these people in the room, but I'm going to have little sandwiches. So he's so down to earth and human. And when we went there, I remember talking to Darlene Love, and I had asked her, I said, Darlene, how are you with Steven producing you? Because she has such a unique sound. She's been produced for years. You know what I mean? We talked about this before with the.
She's an icon. She's an icon.
And she said to me, which made me go, I'm going to listen to whatever he says. She said, I know he has a vision in his head of what he wants. I just do what he asks me to do. And I thought, if Darlene Love can say that, like, I don't have to worry about him trying to change me into something else, or maybe, he takes what he hears and he tries to make it more to fit everything, like he told me once too, and I'll end with this. He'd said to me once, I asked him, how does he have that ear for production that he's using? And he said, if you really listen, Zou Zou, you're going to hear what a song is asking you to do to it. I'll never forget that. And I was like, he's like a magic emperor. Like, I'm like, what is he talking about? But he's right.
The trust level has to be there. You have to, I speak with bands about this, if a producer comes up, they're in your band. They're a big, important part of your band. And if you don't feel that level of trust, or that level of, no, this is not who we are, this is who we are. And to have him be he's a big personality too. He's a big personality, he looks like Steven Van Zandt.
Yeah.
So, having that level of trust, I think, is so, so important. So you guys are going to play for us. We'll play something and then we'll chat a little bit. Because I want, the guitars are out and everybody's going to play. And I know that the audience is into that.
Yeah. They're ready to go.
Ready to go. Let's do it.
Okay. This is Wild Woman.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Screaming out of the fire, crashing down a moonbeam, blood in her eyes, wailing a sorrow scream. Wild woman, ooh yeah. She's all thunder and lightning through your bedtime prayers. No use fighting, girls already there. Wild woman, wild, wild woman, yeah. Yeah, she's a wild, wild woman. Yeah, she is. You're gonna play a fool, yeah. Just like a wild child bullet. She got dirt in her nails, she got grit in her soul, white velvet inside your veins to go. Wild woman, wild child woman, yeah. Come on. Wild, wild woman. Yeah, she is. Said you're gonna play a fool, yeah. Just like a wild child bullet, right between the eyes. Baby, don't you criticize her, yeah, yeah. She's a wild, wild woman. Yeah, she is. Said you go.
Wow.
Woo! Yeah. And there's my sister in the back there, my sister, Brianna, keeping the beat, the percussion queen back there. So talk to me a little bit about, being the lady that keeps the beat. I love a lady that keeps the beat. We don't get that many of them. We have some. I loved when Pop Evil was looking for a drummer. You think of Pop Evil as like a testosterone male kind of band and stuff. No, they brought in Haley and she's their drummer now. I love that. So Brianna, how long have you been playing? And you were a fan of the band before you actually joined. So how did you get your way in there?
Oh man, I've been playing for like 15 years, I want to say, maybe a little more. I don't. But I actually was in another band, and I saw them. A producer of mine was like, "Yo, you kind of remind me of this singer Zou Zou," and I was like, "What's her name again?" And I checked out the band and stuff, and I was like, "Holy crap, they're awesome!" And I loved their music immediately. It spoke to me. The whole style, the whole like. I don't know. You guys had like this Quentin Tarantino thing going on. I was like, that's a good way to describe them. And she was like really fierce and like didn't care about like anything else, like what she like looked like or anything like that. She just got up on stage and was like a total badass. I never saw any other female doing that before. She like put everything out there, and I was like, my God, I have to be in this band somehow. And I just followed them all the time, like a real creep. And then eventually, I just got my my chance, and here I am.
Love it. I love it. Well, you know what? You touched on something I wanted to touch on, and that's the authenticity of the band. And that's the first thing that when I first saw, the videos and started following the band and, really taking stock and really paying attention, there's just an authenticity there. And I think, Brianna, you really hit it on the head. It's not about, Zou Zou doing selfies and playing to the camera, and she's there. It comes out of her. It comes out of the pores, like we talked about. And there's just that great authenticity. And I would imagine for you too, Nick, there's not a lot of brave souls, not a lot of guys who want to be in a band with chicks. I hate to say it. And it really sucks. But, it takes a really strong man, I think, to be able to be like, I'm going to be on the road. And you guys are road warriors. You guys are always playing shows and going out and stuff. And, you really have to be a super secure guy to to really want to be part of this project. So talk to me a little bit about what it's been like for you and your connection, especially with Zou Zou, because obviously she's the front woman, the power woman in the band. So what's it been like for you?
Well, Brianna hit me up for the audition originally, so I go and do the audition. It was me, Travis, and Brianna in the room, and then Zou Zou walks in the room. And like you were all saying, like, it's the real deal. She walked in, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Like, there's an aura about her that's straight business and straight rock and roll. So it wasn't so much that I had to, do anything specific to get where, to get here where I am now. It's just everything was comfortable from the moment that, it all kicked off. Mm-hmm. And I knew she was a real deal. I knew Brianna was a real deal. And then I found out Travis is a real deal. Everybody's a real deal. So I couldn't be happier in the band that I'm currently in.
Yeah, you're a true musician. You're a true musician where, that this is your band and you're in your band. But a lot of people don't realize that. People don't realize that there is definitely still barriers up. It's not the easiest thing. Sometimes you'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh, you guys are playing us? Wow, because some radio stations say we already have 3 females on the playlist. For me, I think the more of these women that we can get, I think now is a really good time for women. We have hard rock women. We have metal women. What I love about you is I think you cross a lot of different kind of genres, but we have a lot of our classic women, whether it's, Joan or Lita or Prissy and the Pretenders, who are a huge, huge influence on my life. I remember, meeting Lita Ford and just being like, thank you so much for being an inspiration and making me follow a path that was not traditional. We forget the impact that we have on people. So what has your, Zou Zou, your experience been with young women coming up that want to be in bands? Because now is a big time for that.
Yeah, I fully support it. There's actually, before our release show was rescheduled, we were supposed to work with this band called Oblivion Her Majesty, which is a female-fronted band that's younger. It's coming up in Philly. And they were just like, we're fans of yours. We're happy to be on the bill. And I was like, well, that's kind of like some of the struggles when I very first started and was just trying to get on bills. Like, there were certain people that always let me on. There were certain people you were just never going to get on. And I've experienced that too with like playlists and being added. It's tougher still for a woman. So that's why I was really impressed that you, Terrie, took us and are playing us, because it isn't easy. And, you know, the other thing, I remember reading an interview with Lizzie Hale, and she said the same exact thing. And she's like, she came around like started like 05. So this is, you know, she's been going through it too. And to see like, you know, you're a commercial station, so you've embraced us. That's a big deal. It's a forward move for women. And I think the thing I was even thinking this morning is I'm such a fan of Nirvana, Foo Fighters, like that raw, and even punk. And then I also, and I think crossing genres has a lot to do with this. We have like people like metal, they like the Cramps, they like Dead Weather, they like White Stripes, like I love the blues, like I'll listen to an old blues record all day, like, you know what I mean? So that all comes across in the music. It crosses a lot of genres. And I think my fear was always, we're not going to find a place because we're so different. And I thought if I just keep doing what I do, and a lot of this was a talk with Joan Jett too. It's like, you just got to do what you do and you become what you need. The right people will hear you. The right people will come. The right people will embrace you. You just got to trust and do what's in your heart to do. And, you know, I think people like Steven coming along, and before him, John Bon Jovi, and those people all kind of gave me that validation before I had it in myself, you know? So I see my whole journey as being it made sense. It all makes sense. So any woman that's doing it, and I think that's what's really powerful about Brianna, and I always say this to her, I'm like, you're going to be really important for women playing an instrument like that, like, and being great at it. You know what I mean? Because there's kind of like this vibe behind it that a woman can't be great on that. At least that's something that I've sensed before. And so when you have like, I remember seeing her and hearing her sing at the same time as she's drumming really well. And I'm going like, who can even do that? Who can sing like that well on pitch and play drums and like, and she's always like doing this. And I'm like, I would just be like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing all that. Sorry. Like, you know, so like, I think it's really important that there's those examples. I had like, you know, Joan Jett, when I first met her, I almost passed out. Like you said about Lita Ford, I just looked at her, I was like, do you understand? Like, I heard your voice and I knew I could do it too. Because if I heard a lot of other voices, but I didn't hear a voice like that. You know what I mean? That with that rasp and that heaviness, and man, I loved it. So we need those women before us, and we need people like you doing what you're doing too. So
we need the torch to be carried. We definitely need the torch to be carried, you know, by bands like Soraia. So let's do another tune. What do you guys want to do for us?
Well, I'm a big fan of Nirvana. I think we all are. So we'd like to do Lake of Fire.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Where the bad folks go and they die, they don't go to heaven where the angels fly. They go to the lake of fire and fry. We'll see them again till the 4th of July. I know a lady who came from Duluth, bit by a dog with a rabbit tooth. She went to a grave just a little too soon, flew away howling on the yellow moon. Where the bad folks go when they die, they don't go to heaven where the angels fly. They go to the lake of fire and fry. We'll see them again till the 4th of July. People cry and people moan, look for a dry place to call their home, try to find some place to rest their bones, while the angels and the devils try to make them their own. Where the bad folks go when they die, they don't go to heaven where the angels fly. They go to the lake of fire and fire. We'll see them again till the 4th of July. wanted to say that's a Meat Puppet song. I know that.
Yes,
But
yes. Yeah, you did the Nirvana version of the Meat Puppet song because the Nirvana version's a little bit different than the Meat Puppets version. So you did the Nirvana MTV Unplugged version of the Meat Puppet song.
That's
There
it.
you go.
That's it.
So I want to let everybody know too, Dig Your Roots is the new record. And I want everybody to check you guys out. So active on social media if you want to get a feel for the band. And by the way, I think I need Radio Sister as my theme song. I just think that I want to have people playing that as I'm entering a room. If I ever do get to enter a room where there's people ever again, I would like to have that song playing behind me. It's such a cool tune. And I forgot to mention that when we've had any kind of exchanges and stuff on social media, but such a good, such an awesome song. I love that song.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I actually, I had just read the book I, Tina, about Tina Turner's life story.
Okay.
And my co-writer was Travis Smith, who's not with us right now, but he's on a lot of our one and done video things. But he's like, I wrote this idea, and I think you should write a song called Radio Sister about all the women who inspire you, like Tina Turner, Joan Jett, Chrissy Hine. He said, I have an idea for it. And we started writing it, and that's what that song's all about. And I always say, you got something more to say. Please don't stop. We need you.
I love it. And you know what? All the best to you guys. I'm always so happy to see a band that connects with the fans, that's on the rise. I know it's been really tough. You guys had some amazing touring plans. And I'm sure we would have done something with you at the station. So we just have to sit tight, hold on until we're all able to do that together. But we want to make sure that, you know, you're out there, your music is heard, and people know who you are. People can hear your voices speaking and see what your passions are. And that's why I thank you so much for being on Reconnect with Rockers with me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Terrie. We love you guys. Thank you.
Love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Advantage Contracting and by Karis Lock Company.